Hi guys, this is FNGR. Special thanks to Misanthro for providing his voice on this one. I can see why he typically doesn't use his poses for his reviews, at least last time I checked. Oh boy, that was murder to get through. For the next video I do have some options. I have a Queen of Limbo featuring melody sketch. I have some ideas for a video called How to Save I Love Kim Possible a Lot. I obviously have How Not to Brony, which has been backlogged at this point, as well as the Season 7 final. Free heads up next week, I will be working more and have less time, so things might get a little slow on this channel. I will try and get back to things as soon as possible. Also, this is Liliac Galaxy, aka the Fetus. Just opened up a GoFundMe. You've heard her voice on King of Limbo, as well as How Not to Brony. I think she's one of the top 4 people in the Limbo chat. Also, Midnight Chimes. I saw that you called me out, and in due time, I will be responding. Also, there will be a link down below. This is Dylan Thomas's latest video, where he gets into it with a brony of sorts, or at least someone with a Discord avatar. Godspeed and good luck. Greetings, friends. Today we'll be talking about redemption in FLP FIM.
You want to consider trying that out sometime?
I don't do glitter. So, what would you say was the show's best and worst redemption?
Well, for best redemption, I'd say Sunset Shimmer.
Well, before we get to the worst, what defines the best redemption arc for you?
Sunset had to work towards her redemption, giving it a deeper meaning. Considering her low point at the time, it ended up having a much bigger impact.
So, would you suggest either they lacked meaning or having a villain with less of a defined motivation is essential to Sunset seeing the light?
I think Sunset had an obstacle built around her to give her something to have an interesting story arc. With the Dazzlings acting as the villain, she had an opportunity to prove herself as a protagonist.
Well, for me, I'd have to go with Gilda, originally a character that I personally, and more than a few fans of the show, had less than an enthusiastic reaction to. The face turn made the character more interesting, and returning to another unpopular character, we not only got to see her background, but the background of her people, city, and culture, and they managed to do all that and keep her consistent. Gilda didn't end up being all sunshine and rainbows.
Ha! Rainbows.
Stop that. Even when she's rescuing rainbows, she's trading insults. If you have to have estranged friends, surely you might want to have a similar story. Not unlike Gilda and Rainbow Dash, who love-hate each other. Was there anything in Sunset Shimmer's redemption that spoke to you personally?
Well, there was the sleepover with the girls.
Go on.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
If I remember correctly, there was a lot of whipped cream.
Do you want another bad eye? Anyway, what made the scene good is that Sunset addresses her insecurities about proving herself. Not to mention that people around her were giving her a hard time over past mistakes. As somebody who also didn't have a good first impression, sometimes I worry about if I'm a burden or not. And this scene really spoke to me.
That was really moving. Now, I feel bad for being amused by Gilda staying consistently shitty. So what about the worst redemption? We have so many to choose from.
I will admit that MLP doesn't have the best forms of redemption, but the worst one by far was Starlight Glimmer. I beg your pardon?
Oh, nothing. I will admit that Starlight Glimmer's redemption could have used a little bit more razzle-dazzle, but...
But nothing. I already mentioned this in a video that you responded to, but the reason why Starlight's redemption is the worst is because there's no struggle involved. And it didn't even feel like it was earned. All of the forgiveness was just handed to her, unlike Sunset, who actually had to work for all of her qualities.
No struggle. If memory serves, she did end up enslaving 5 of Twilight's friends in an effort to do the right thing. I'd call that a struggle.
Oh, without a doubt, the actual part where she goes from bad to good is absolutely forced. But the actual redemption part with trials and errors is what made it a better character arc.
To be fair, Glimmy had less time, with Sunset having about an hour or a half to be challenged, to have trials and tribulations. With Season 6, they had the time to drop off Glimmy into the main plot. It would make sense that a bunch of high school kids would be far less forgiving than, say, well, Ponyville. I hardly imagine the fine fans in the audience down below in the comments will want to see, well, Ponyville acting like a bunch of high school kids. See you down below, guys.
Stop fan pandering.
Fine. But the times where Starlight Glimmer was continuing her friendship lessons, no second prances in every little thing she does, which would have been 44 minutes, nearly half of what Sunset had, the show did a pretty good job of showing Starlight being punished, well, quite frankly, having to deal with Trixie's manipulative ass. And the over-daunting task of dealing with Twilight's friends for the first time. Remind me how Twilight did having to handle the local yokels, so to speak. I forget, how did Ticketmaster go? All sunshine and lollipops.
I suppose I'll give you that one, but all of those things happened after Starlight was forgiven so easily. At that point, it felt like Starlight didn't have to do anything because everyone was already willing to look past her fuck-ups and be her friend.
Her friends that now include Trixie and Maud. My heavens, by season 9, she might have 3 friends. I think that's earning it. Like, have you seen the bullcrap she's had to put up with, well, quite frankly, being Trixie's friend? It would be like being my friend.
I do recommend that.
Oh, spare me of all of the fun and creative possibilities of that scenario.
I mean, and all bottled up, her best friend is literally giving her a magic ulcer. What would you rather do? Have a bunch of high school kids talk about you and what a bitch you used to be, or have your best friend lose a princess's prized magic possession and act all like, well, top kick, look what I did.
Well, we could talk about how Crusaders of the Lost Mark hasn't aged well, but that might be better for another video.
Imagine if the only friend you could make after you learned your lesson was, well, let's say cartoons. Right about the same time Dr. Wolf trusted you with something invaluable and Toonie Baby lost it on you. For me, when I look at a failed redemption, the all-time biggest loser is the one that killed the character deader than fried chicken. Diamond Tiara never said a word after Crusaders of the Lost Mark. It killed her and Silver Spoons, and relegated them to the background. I understand there was some issues with Starlight, but they've used her. We had Trixie's best episode with Starlight Glimmer post-redemption. Not that we couldn't have had Trixie and Starlight palling up as villains, but that's for another video.
The problem is that you got all of these ideas for plots that would have been better off as their own episodes, and they're all just stuffed together in the same 20 minutes. And on top of that, I thought we were going to get continued insight on Diamond Tiara, but they never even mention her again. She was supposed to be a major character in the CMC story arc, and it's almost as if she doesn't even exist anymore. I mean, up to that point, the show was treating her like she was important. But now, zip.
Back up the truck. I have no problem talking about that. I think the execution of Crusaders was fine. I think they presented DT's mom in a fashion where they could have used her again. She at least got to come back after that episode, and where the apple lies, via flashback, but she got more mileage. Also, in Applejack's Day Off, Crusaders of the Lost Mark happened and you had to bury these characters post-mortem. I mean, it's not as if the CMC episodes post the cutie marks have been gangbusters, where they couldn't have fit in DT or Silver Spoons. At least with a somewhat relative role.
Well, as long as we don't have an angry mob coming after us at the end of this video, we should be fine.
Well, on that note, wow, are we really going to end this episode on such a downer? Christ, what is this, the latest season of BoJack?
I only hope that it doesn't turn into the Starlight Glimmer show.
I'm not doing that gag. Do you have any wish lists either for Equestria Girls or maybe a second movie?
No refunds.
Well, as for the Equestria Girls shirts, I'd rather have that for Adagio than her becoming the new DT or Silver Spoons. Good night, everybody.